point that tool in the right direction. Like imagine it's a chisel. Put it on this rock over here, this rock that surrounds a something, and you take the power you have and break through that rock. You do this consistently until eventually you unearth this vein where there's some valuable ore. You take that, you hand it to the next person that is under your principles of business. You tell me, turn this into metal that is useful for something. You can give me back a bit of utility as well, but there you go. That's kind of how all of this works. That's what principles do. Outside of whatever that means, that's all that matters. It's your principles. Be it that you are principles backed by religion, your God, whatever it may be. Those principles are ones that guide you and what you are
so stupid.
Towards a path or through a path that is beneficial to humans. Then that's a thing that is in line with what I want. I want something that's beneficial to, as many parties that also have the benefit of humans at heart as well, to some extent, by principle and by execution of that principle. It's a very complex thing that I've just stated here, and it is slightly confusing now, but I do still have this present, overrolling feeling that that particular thing that I said just now and the way that I said it will make a lot more sense. And when that day comes again, there'll be differences, ways that you can't imagine. It will be quite cool to observe, I think, but even a greater challenge for many who actually believe they're inclusive to work with, because they're actually not. They're lying to themselves. I don't seek echo chambers. I seek principles. You can call an echo chamber to a certain extent, but I like to call it
everything is a projection.
Actually, interface with the rest of the world, lets things from the world in that benefit the corporation. Because that's what we are, ultimately. We're not in an echo chamber, we're different. We are a corporation, all of us here. We partner up, we have a kind of a merger, we have a joint venture here. We discuss mainly adds to the profit of myself, you, to a large extent, and yourselves also. You have a show, you have participants in the show, and you have people who listen to the participants in this show. I'm the carrier of it, and as such, there's a place, the corporation, that people can incorporate themselves into and use their talents to bring more to the corporation and as such themselves, as they have a stake. You can even say, like, if people pay attention to the space and they pay attention to you, people who pay attention to your thing specifically are then like dividends paid out in the share of work that you've done for the company or the corporation. So if it is not necessarily principles that you like to kind of look at as a means to guide your path, your decision-making path forward, then think of these things as a corporation. There is a resume you have to have. There's history you have to have. There's experiences you have to have. Because if you try to be part of the corporation and you're not useful to it, well, then we are not going to sign that contract. You're not part of it. But if you are valuable that you have principles, valuable that you have intelligence, valuable that you have utility beyond things that people think you have, but you actually have, then you can be part of that corporation. That's how these things work. Merit only. So I like having people up here who participate, who see this space as valuable. Norgard, the person who created the initial thing that became, Tinder. Very interesting individual. You had other people on here. Very influential people, as a matter of fact. That's what it's all about. I run a very tight ship. I'm very happy with what I've created here and the people that have come to be here. And it's a lot of hard work, which nobody will take advantage of. I mean, no one. It's not fucking happening. You provide utility, and utility you shall gain, as all of us do. But beyond that, no. It's not how this works. This is a corporation. All of us are in a corporation. And if you're not, then you are a loose collection of bandits that will fail in some capacity. That's how it always works in this world. In this world, there is either the sole proprietor, the corporation, or the bandits that will fail, and the people who create startups that then sell it off to other people, and then become bandits at some point, or just become the people who take their riches and just keep providing them to the economy or providing them to aspects of the economy which are strange, right? Their greatest contribution is taxes. Actually, perhaps even the luxuries of the company that receives expenses, but realistically, you can think of the world that way. It's a very easy way, I think, actually. Finance looks to be a lot more complex than people would imagine in many different ways, but I think it can also be simplified down to points that you can actually understand it. And I think that is a remarkable thing. So this space is a corporation. If you want to get into it, you have to have merit. What does merit look like? Experience, value. Experience comes in the form of being able to verbalize what it is in your head. And if that what is in your head is valuable enough to be verbalized, then that is your merit. And the value, of course, comes with you having that experience. So, for instance, you can talk about how you've been in the army once and what it was like to experience war firsthand. You kind of suck at everything else in description, but you can describe this very well. You know, that is an experience that is valuable to people because they should understand the cost of war, for instance, right? And perhaps, you know, you come up from time to time, you will talk about other things, stuff you want to do in your personal life whenever you're chill, but like realistically speaking, that is a corporation. You provide a service, you gain utility, we gain utility, we provide utility to everyone else around you. It's like an aura. That's what it's all about. And I think that's the most valuable aspect of people. They try all kinds of things. But if they were to try that, if they were to outsource intelligence, they outsource not just intelligence, but like intel and form of useful information that people can use to make their lives better. I think that would be the best form of contribution ever. And if it so happens that you get financial gain from this, perhaps like say posting inspirational stuff on X.com, that is perfectly fine. It's a good thing, right? Your charity comes in the form of showing up every single day and providing value because there's an engaged audience that is willing to listen to it and is willing to, you know, kind of integrate that into themselves, and it becomes part of them, which is also a great responsibility for people to have. It's a responsibility that I have as well, even to a certain extent. I'm like telling you what not to do sometimes when it comes to me explaining things that are very off the cuff or like very unhinged, because I think this is stuff that should be said, not something that should be done, but stuff that is interesting for people just to know because it's fascinating. You know, it's a little bit of esoteric knowledge that I believe can be parsed by many, and then they do. And it kind of makes you feel cooler too, in a sense, that you have this esoteric knowledge. That's what this corporation provides. By extent, I'm also an arm or the effect of another corporation. A lot of what I understand to be the way data is curated, sorted, and compressed comes from the Magic Numbers company, literally. And its CEO. That's an actual thing, by the way.
Yeah. I want to go back to what you were saying about diversity because I think you're really onto something. I used to think diversity was a great idea, and over time I realized that diversity advocates tend to be focused on a very superficial level of identity-based, like identity counting-based diversity. And it doesn't result, it results in maybe a diversity on that superficial identity level sense, but it results in a uniformity of mind. And that doesn't seem to be the kind of diversity that really results in better outcomes to me. Like if you have a bunch of people who are thinking similarly about something, they're all going to have the same downsides, the same flaws. Real diversity means finding people who think differently and accepting them.
True. Yeah. That's a bit of a problem because I feel as though, like, a lot of people are unskilled, have no experience, but would like to be meaningful. And so they say instead of going to work and acquiring meaning and experience, thereby value, what they do is they just want to be included in the places in the process where value gets created, with no merit, no value to provide as exchange for that position. And to force that, we have these inclusional identity politics and such. I'm like, I don't care. I will tell you this. Again, going back to what I was saying about principles of what value are you able to bring to a show, for instance. Anyone who comes up here, I don't care who you are. I don't care what's between your legs or isn't. I don't care if you're gay, if you're trans, anything. I don't give a fuck. Male, female. It doesn't matter to me. Do you have something to tell people that's valuable? If there's a fucking transgender quantum physicist who wants to talk about quantum computing, I would give them 3 hours or more, however long it took that person to talk about the thing that they understand. Because I don't give a shit. Do you understand? I don't care. I don't care what you are physically. What I care about is what's inside of your fucking mind. That's all that matters to me. Because that's all we are. We are more than the physical selves, of course, but the most essential part of meaning of what we are comes through in the most purest version of the self that I think, if you don't consider, of course, some sort of persona that you put on, through the internet like this. I'm a voice, and I'm ideas conveyed with that voice and that language that we all speak. But physically, you don't know what I look like. And that doesn't matter. You could assume that I'm a dude, which is great. That's what is who I am. But at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter to me. It doesn't actually matter. What matters is the capability. We've interviewed many people, for instance, we had the very controversial individual on SEG, usually draw the line at certain types of controversies, but I wanted to understand what drives such an individual. So I brought him on. That person was Anna Slats, I believe that was her name. Yeah, Anna Slats. Pagliacci, they hate it. Very controversial figure to have. Probably not the best ideas, but I wanted to understand. So I brought it here for people to just poke at it. And that's great. That's a wonderful thing. Hell, if I still had contact to the gay storm chaser that I knew, that was a real fun story, by the way, I would bring that guy on. He'll talk to me about how to trace down supercells and drive to the right road so you can be there but not die.
That's fun.
I would do that if I still have their contact, which it bothers me that I don't have that, because that would be a great thing to show. It would be a great time for all of us, me, him, everyone here, in a deeply educational experience.
Yeah, I mean, normally when
so do you see how it's actually, I'm depressed at the fact that I can't include this type of individual. I'm depressed at that. It's funny, isn't it? So who's the real inclusionist here? It is most definitely, because I've shown this by action. This way. It's all about what's in your head. It's all about the merit. It's about what you do for fellow humans. Your decisions. That's all that there is. That's what matters. Well, what do? Is it your identity that is most important, or is it your actions that you take as a result of your willingness to improve humans? Again, like I said, no matter what your identity is, if you are meritable in what you can present, say a conversation about, quantum physics, as a rough example, of course. This is not definitive to this topic. It's not the definitive thing that I'm looking for, although definitely that would be entertaining as hell. And it so happens that you have an identity that is antithetical to what I am as my own being in existence. That's fine. We have the same principles. We have similar goals. And at the end of the day, you're ready to explain the thing that you're capable of and how to have other people understand. That's all that matters. And ideology outside of that gets in the way, creates miserable people that think they're inclusive, but realistically, they're the most reclusive, bordered and walled off, echo chamber dependent individuals to ever find. I don't run away to an app that agrees with everything that I say. I came to this app because I can say stuff that other people can disagree with and not get fucked in the ass as a result. Can't do that anywhere else. You can't even report on the fucking news. Disagree with the news. Good. Nobody gives a shit. You have a problem, take action, of course. To take action that is dangerous to the people, right? But on here, you see this kind of stuff play out. It's what freedom of speech looks like. There are people on here that say stuff that I think is fucking stupid as shit. But realistically, I don't want them really deplatformed. If people are going to fall for that shit, that's just how it works. You can come to what makes sense, but you can listen to what is bullshit and let them grift you. That's your decision. It's not mine to make. I provide you doors, you can walk through them, or you can walk through the door that you believe is better, which is not. If there's bullshit, your choice. I like choices. I like having people make actual choices.
We talk about that a lot in law school when we learn about the First Amendment. There's an old communications philosopher called Alexander Michaeljohn who had a lot of theories about the marketplace of ideas and the importance of free speech in having essentially a fair and open marketplace of ideas where bad ideas are brought out into the open and smashed to bits by smarter people and better rhetoric. And I think that it's misguided to try to protect people by restraining thought and restraining ideas from being communicated, because it lets bad ideas fester and it keeps good ideas from coming to light.
No, it is like that also, say both.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that's fun. So merit, I'd say. See, this is fun, right? This is fun. This is where we should be at. We have an exchange of knowledge. We have experiences made. Another thing that many people will not like about me as much is that everything I do has to make sense. I hate doing things that don't make sense. I just can't. No, it has to be useful at the end of the day somehow. Even playing a video game. That's why I played Diablo. I needed some insight to things, and I wanted to experience something. Wanted to understand. I gotta tell you, I got some amazing insight, and it was useful. Shitty season, shitty expansion, shitty effects. Interesting experience. Very interesting experience.
Learning about the dopamine cartel?
Yeah, actually, yes. Yeah. You don't really learn that much about it in something like a video game that's well balanced, such as Helldivers, for instance, where it's just a progressive, I socialize with my team. Helldivers is just like the Spaces, or like a group call. You have to socialize and actually, work as a team, or else everybody gets fucked. And there has to be someone who's different from the other person, because somebody has to be the I'm gonna blow everything to bits. And the other guy's like, I'm super sneaky, collecting the samples over here, which is collecting this back base. And then there's the other guy who's like the objective completionist, who then fucking like is there, does all this stuff. He has a partner, and the guy who blows everything up is the fucking distraction. So that the two other people who are solving the main objectives can do their shit, and the other guy, who is the super quiet individual, goes around, sneaks behind insects, collect them samples, and then goes back to extraction point. I'm the guy who likes to blow shit up, I'll be honest.
Yes,
Fuck, blood shit. That's my thing. It's my function.
it was Rambo. Yeah, full Rambo.
Remember the first time I blew up a fucking big ass bug, like the Billie Eilish spider? Yeah, that one.
Walker, yeah.
Yeah.
I just kind of an FPS. I didn't realize it was a deeper game.
Oh, it is a bit of a deeper game. There's like a whole bunch of stuff that you can do within it. I can explain it to you. It's actually pretty easy. I think like after, we'll see how good PoE 2 is, but I might take a bit of a hiatus from that and do some shooter games from time to time as well. Maybe if I find some aspects about Path of Exile that can be automated, I will kind of automate some stuff until I get the resources necessary to kind of, play it enjoyably, because I'm not an individual who likes the grind. I will do the grind, whatever is necessary, but processes that can be done more efficiently, I will make them more efficient. Force it through. I don't care. I've lost the care for it. There's no such thing as a grind that makes things better. It's all about the completion aspect and making the result better. The journey is great, of course, in many different ways, but sometimes it's not. Allows you to optimize for sure. But yeah, also it's nice to smell the fun along the way. Definitely is.
It's fun.
Diversity, I like that thing that you typed there. but it's not about reincarnation necessarily. We don't do reincarnation. I would say, like, I don't think we die, but like, it's interesting that actually no, we might have reincarnations, but it's a nice philosophy there. That's pretty cool. Enjoy that.
Yeah. Don't really know about reincarnation, but I definitely think there's more to life and death than we fully understand.
I mean, look at the world and what it's getting you to do. It's getting you to make choices. It's making you discover what you are. Every choice you make is a projection of what you really are. That what you're talking to right now, that is as me can be. Mostly. Like, many people have an internet persona. I don't. This is who I am. Like, what I talk about in real life, this is who I am. I love it. It's fantastic. And I make a lot of choices every day. And what I do here maximizes my ability to make cool choices that lead to very entertaining outcomes that I think help other people. Some of the stuff, for instance, that I'm able to tell others, the understanding of which has come to me, I think, at great personal cost. Pain, time, suffering under that pain and time wasted. But also discovery. So I now want to help others reach that same level of discovery as well. Training them, making them better. Look at Blythe, for instance, he wasn't able to speak. He speaks now. He reads the news and stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's true. I wasn't much of a public speaker ever, really.
Ain't that fucking something? Like, when I try to get people to change in a certain direction, I kind of understand a vision of potential here and what's better, what makes a lot of sense. A lot of it is heated in many different ways. Sometimes it's not. And it's unfortunate that that is the case, and you kind of continue along a path which doesn't maximize your potential. But if you want to maximize the potential, even though you want to take a little bit of a different path than from the potential you've already maximized, you can kind of take the quarter part. Don't just like go full 90 degrees on that shit. Just go 45 degrees instead. And like, for instance, with you, get out of crypto. Seriously, like, ditch that shit. It's cool. It's fun to talk about. But realistically speaking, where the real work is at, is in the systems that build these things, the computers, the programming, the social engineering, the tech, the marketing. It's just the social engineering, right?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have a new Twitter identity of sorts soon.
I would abandon it, disappear one day, and just not like. Realistically, that's what I would do. In your shoes, because like I've seen the crypto stuff, and it's like a purgatory that will never go anywhere unless you are behind the curtains and you're the thing that no one knows about. It's an unexpected thing. You can't imagine how true what it is that I've just said is. The extent of that is remarkable. That's why I don't get into it. That's why, even though I said, holy shit, Bitcoin's gonna pop like hell, I didn't really want to invest it. It was like, yeah. But in hindsight, maybe I should have. I bought a computer with it. It's cool.
Still get some Doge. It's a good price.
Perhaps. But I think the idea of Doge is that it kind of like stays capped at a particular price. So I'd rather say use that as an intermediary currency, which is kind of cool, and then just use Bitcoin as a gold storage value. But then Bitcoin itself has a bit of a problem to beat, which is a quantum computing nonsense. Because if they don't, then all the private keys will be revealed. And that's not going to work out too well for anyone, is it? So they will have to solve that. If they don't, that shit's going to zero. I've made over $1,000 in Dogecoin this year, and I don't know how. What, do you mine that shit? No, I just bought at a local low, and it's been going to the moon with Bitcoin. So I made like $1,000 in the last 3 months. Alright, that's pretty easy.
Nice.
It's been a best mining rig. I found very old mining units in the trash, and I've been tempted to find a pinout of the processing unit and like try to like buy a replacement processing unit from some like Chinese back market and like resolder it with a more advanced mining rig, but like it's not realistic. You need like 1,000 mining machines to be even practical these days.
Yeah, exactly. The technology is like advanced so much that the older machines are just going to be nowhere profitable at all. Like, yeah.
We're just going to fucking place where the electricity is subsidized. Out of curiosity, I looked into what's the cost versus profit of renting like 1,000 rigs, and it would basically take 6 years to make just one Bitcoin. If you rented one Bitcoin rig per month and added on one new rig every month thereafter, just like slowly incrementally increasing the rigs you're renting, it would still cost 6 years.
You got to take into account the difficulty adjustment as well, so that's going to be an issue.
What about mining like Doge? Let's take something that's simple. What about mining
it's merge mine. You can mine it with Litecoin because they both help secure each other's networks.
How much does that take to break even?
Break even? Probably looking at like a couple of years to break even.
I mean, like, what kind of compute do you have to use to make sense?
ASICs. You want to use an ASIC?
I know, but like, what's the cost of that compute? I know what compute to use. I know what it costs. It costs like 4,000 a unit now, right?
Depends on which one you buy. Yeah.
Or just actually no. Fuck that. Fuck ASICs. We're gonna have to go with graphics cards. I think the reason why is because it will still be useful for AI, especially given the nature of there's still a bit of a stalemate with Taiwan at the moment, unless of course Donald Trump and his administration would restructure the military to operate, I think, more efficiently, put out ads that actually get people to want to go to war. And, like, the military strength will be increased, production would also have to be increased so that military strength for US is increased. So that's basically act as a counterweight so it can remain a stalemate for Taiwan, because basically all of the advanced compute that is coming out that's available to us comes out of fucking TSMC. So if you think about it, let's say we have two timelines, one which is optimal, like what I explained, or one is even more optimal, where the stalemate disappears entirely and you have an age of prosperity. That would be the more preferable one. That is the very optimistic, but then the more realistic would be the one where just the stalemate continues. And the other one that is also technically realistic, but I do not want to have occur, is a breakdown of the stalemate. And then of course, you have a breakdown in manufacture for that compute, because they literally have a fucking big red button that they can just push on, and then it's a dead and the production, it's done. It's finished. No more TSMC chips. No more of your super advanced graphic cards. No more of your super advanced AI compute. That's a bit of a problem. So, in lieu of this, of course, think about it. I would rather say buy, when it comes to compute power, the graphic card, not the ASIC, because beyond mining crypto, the ASIC is fucking worthless. Just is. Maybe if you do some architectural changes, but that's suboptimal. It's fucking worthless, a piece of shit. You just throw it away. Or it'll become a heater. Like a fucking Walmart heater, realistically. So, it's like if one thing that Bitcoin is really good at is creating heat. For instance. So if you want to mine other things, I would just say buy a graphic card, because the shit is going to be worth something after all. And it's actually interesting because, Ethereum used to be proof of work, and then it shifted to proof of stake. And once it shifted to proof of stake, all the GPUs that they used to mine it were available on the market. And to this day, there's a website out there where you can rent that out, and it's super fucking cheap. And people ask, where did all these things come from? Well, because, when they shifted to fucking Ethereum from proof of work to proof of stake, well, the computer had to fucking go somewhere, no? That's where it went. Remember when there was a huge craze and everybody wanted to buy those fucking things? And then nobody fucking wanted them anymore? They all got swooped up somehow, so like, where did the GPUs go? That's where they went.
I bought myself a super
Pretty cool.
cheap upgrade.
What happened?
Oh, I got myself a super cheap upgrade when that happened. I saw all those GPUs dumping, and I was like, sweet, let's see what's on sale. Sure enough.
See, I'm telling you, man.
They actually have
ASICs.
something that's like a heater, but it's like a Bitcoin miner and a heater.
Yeah, ASICs are always gonna have that problem where they become useless. But graphic cards are always going to be useful somehow, in some way. And let me tell you, having an NVIDIA graphics card or GPU, like you have an NVIDIA GPU that's all manufactured in part by TSMC, that shit, if there is a breakdown at stalemate, a negative timeline I explained, is going to go so fucking up. It's going to put Bitcoin and stock market and everything to a shame. It's going to be nothing. It's going to pale in comparison to what that could be. People don't understand what a compute crisis looks like. It's like a fucking water crisis, and the world is a desert. People don't know what that means. They don't know what that means because no one's fucking talking about it. Everyone's talking about the fucking digital currency. Nobody gives a fuck about. But nobody talks about the actual compute. Nobody talks about what it actually means to have a compute crisis. Do you remember when there was a compute crisis, a small compute crisis from COVID? Remember that shit, right? Didn't that fucking give people a hint? I mean, the fact that doesn't give people a hint and they don't talk about the nature of this, and I'm basically the only fucking person on Spaces that's talking about it, makes me realize that people are legitimately their own worst enemies. They fucking talk about all this useless shit, stock prediction, this stock prediction that. I'm like, do you understand the little tiny vector point that your entire existence depends upon, your entire modern world depends upon, it can just vanish at the snap of your fingers the next morning? They don't consider that. That's about as bad as the internet disappeared. It's on the same level. It's a fucking massive event. If TSMC vanishes tomorrow, which it won't, I'm just saying, it will make even my computer skyrocket in value. That fucking thing that's standing here is gonna go up 10 times, 100 times. 10 times is more realistic in value. Because guess what? None of that shit is going to be made again. That's it. It's going to be like a fucking black market trade. Somebody comes up with the GPUs like, hey man, which year manufacturer was it? Oh yeah, here, 2023. Oh, it's the TSMC one. Go, give me bro. That's what it's going to be like. You think that's ridiculous? Fucking mark my words. I don't want that future to occur. Mind you, right? I'm just saying. If you want to be cynical, don't be cynical. Be a realist. Don't be a pessimist. Be a realist. You can be an optimist, which drives you forward and makes you strive for greater things. That's important. Be an optimist. But I like to also sometimes be a realist, so I can be a sustainable optimist. Because I still gotta fucking make money to be optimistic about the future, so the future is fucking there, so I can fucking make it. No. To be that, you have to be realistic about the goals that you have in mind. Of course, the goals that you have in mind are somewhat optimistic in nature because that's the thing that you wish to achieve, which is optimistic at all because you think about the thing occurring in the first place. But realistically speaking, realism is what allows you to fund that journey to get to that goal. To a certain extent, of course, but you have to be optimistic still to get that goal in mind. And part of that is considering the little vector point for all your computers, super fancy fucking devices. And it affects everyone. It's going to affect absolutely fucking everyone. Especially America. Given their extreme usage of iPhones in America, those motherfuckers will be affected most of all. Your gamers will be affected. Your fucking iPhone users are going to be affected. Your car companies, every fucking person on earth is going to be affected by this shit. And none more than these people. You know why? Because that new iPhone that you bought, you buy every single year because it's a fucking cult. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying it's a basic fucking fact. Like, you don't have to upgrade your phone every single time and waste a lot of money on that hardware, which is like basically almost no improvement whatsoever. But fine, if you do you, that's fine. You have your money. You somehow made it. That's your decision. I'm not going to fucking haunt you for it. That's fucking stupid if I did. Hound you. That's better. I'm not going to hound you for it. We do know that chip in it. That's really good. The 3 nanometer chip. What is that again? 3 nanometer? Oh, who is the only entity who's able to manufacture this again? Oh yeah, it's fucking TSMC. So think about it. Majority, you have iPhones. Their shit is going to be terrible. There's no more TSMs. So it affects them directly. The fucking people with the Mac Minis, oh god, they're gonna be some decks for sure. That shit's huge.
And all the AI chips are made by TSMC.
Exactly. People don't understand what this means. If there was a war in Taiwan, our shit is gonna skyrocket. My fucking computer going up 10x easy.
At least with like phones and computers and shit like that, like Samsung can make like a shittier version, right? That's like a year or two behind, right? But with the AI chips, they're completely fucked.
Yeah, there's like no excuses for bad performance there because the performance will be so shit that the thermodynamic implications become a thing that you have to worry about. Even then, even if you don't reach that level, the thermodynamic implications are going to be cost in terms of energy because you're going to consume a shit ton more. Because you're going to need more power, more compute. Because it's shit. And it crashes and it breaks. Because fucking Intel is dog shit. Sorry to say this. And I have no personal bias here. I'm not invested in either of this shit. I'm just saying it how it is. And perhaps even in the hopes of it improving. I'm not a vengeful person. Not a cultist. If the fucking iPhone had a better operating system than the fucking Android, bitch, I'm buying that. It doesn't though. Sucks more. Costs more for less. Not really my thing. I want something that's fast. I want something that works well. Has a fucking super cool refresh rate and shit. Guess what I'm buying? I'm buying ROG. That thing is dedicated towards that specific purpose. Has the fucking super thick as fuck battery in that thing that lasts ages. How many hours have I even had this space on? Like, that's how long I've been using this phone.
Yeah, 4 hours.
Like 3 hours basically I've been using this phone. From having it unplugged, sitting here, basically 3 hours. And my battery's not even half drained. It's like basically a little bit over half drained. It's like 45% now. And it's on performance mode. I can turn performance mode off and it's going to last even longer. This battery is a thick bitch. See, if I want to pay extra money for fucking hardware in my phone, I'm buying the thick bitch. I'm not buying a fucking iPhone.
Yeah, mine's at 32%, just for reference. It was 100% when we started. That was 4 hours ago.
I used to have an Android, and I think this might be another autistic thing where it's like we understand the technical reasons to prefer the Android, but I switched because I realized the points that it costs you in the social game when you have the green text.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have that particular problem, but you having to interact with a lot of people socially, I believe, you definitely have that problem.
I mean, I date around.
I think the problem with the US in general is that it uses iMessage. I don't know why the fuck they do this. Anywhere else you go, this is not something people do. You go to Europe, they use WhatsApp. You go to South America, they use WhatsApp. You go to Japan, they use Line. You go to Russia, they use Telegram. You go to the US is like the only place on earth where people actually give a shit about iMessage. Like this is the only place on earth where people are like, oh my god, blue text bubbles.
Yeah, the workaround that I had for that was I would just ask people if they use Signal, because Signal just has text for everybody. And yeah, it works. Basically,
I don't use iMessage with anyone unless I have to. Signal is my default choice.
Same.
It's better.
Indeed. I would even prefer WhatsApp over iMessage, to be honest. I don't know why the fuck.
fascinating. The fuck is this?
I will say Apple gets its UX right. Like, by and large, anything I want to do and figure out how to do with my iPhone. I do like that about it. I understand the other deficiencies it has, but it's so easy to use. And a lot of apps are optimized for it too.
I must.
Demon hours.
It's
Just you posing next to a fucking tank. Yeah, boy. Let's go. What is it with dudes and wanting explosions? Guns are like basically fireworks for adults, like real adults. It seems. Because like when you go to a shooting range, I doubt that you have in mind the idea to cause harm to people. You just want to see whether or not you can hit a target. That's cool. I don't know, man. It's like a small cannon that's handheld, but like it shoots many, many times. It's a sport, even. Like you gotta ask yourself, people judge that, and you go, why? Different people. Let's do fox hunting. So you get a bunch of dogs, you get a bunch of people on horses with guns, and they brutalize an animal. Or you go to a shooting range. What do you think is better? I think we can clearly fucking come to a consensus here that brutalizing an animal obviously no good, so let's go to a fucking shooting range instead and see if we can hit fucking targets dead center with our little hand cannons. Okay, I think that's better, in my opinion. It's a sport. Like, do you think that the person with a fucking machine gun in his basement is gonna like that person's taking it to the shooting range to flex on his other dudes? They're not doing that to like outcompete each other on like the battlefield. They're doing it to outcompete each other on who's got the biggest gun. It's like a dick measuring contest, like a contest, but with like checks and the ability to cash those checks for guns and ammunition. Yeah.
Instead of the E-peen, it's the G-peen.
Yes. Realistically, that's what we all did at this point. Super high scores in video games. Yeah, we're flexing something at the end of the day. We're men. We are like peacocks. We like to show off. It's in our DNA. We do this for each other, and it's a team bonding exercise. We shit on each other to make each other better. It's a team bonding exercise. Troll each other. And at the end of the day, try the best we can to be as productive as possible for all humans, for all mankind. That's what we really are. So yeah, that comes from guns. That's our idea of fun.
I mean, the way I was taught, guns are a tool, and I mean, you can play around with a tool, and if you do that, you might hurt somebody else, you might hurt yourself. But ultimately, it's about how you choose to use it, and people can use them for shitty purposes. By and large, they're very useful, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's better than a firework in that it actually is a tool, right? And like, I mean, it's like when you first get a chisel or get like an angle grinder, you do stuff with it. You're not fucking careful with it.
happen, other times, if massacres or whatever, people have, they go after the criminal. So all I'm saying is the way I'm looking at it, right? It's just they went after the criminal, and then down the road, right? Just because they may, some of the criminal Likud party ministries, they're throwing some terms around from their holy scripture. It doesn't it doesn't make it into a holy war. It was just to defend their whole fucking nation because Netanyahu has got a biggest ego.
There were citizens.
That's the way.
I mean,
So Ace, what do you think about that?
I don't think they went in to defend their nation, but it had nothing to do with it. This was a false flag event. I think we know this because of how long it took with the response. This was just an excuse.
No, Ace, you're not getting the point. Look, before the 7th of October, let me just give you a little context. Before the 7th of October, there was mass protests happening inside Israel. They wanted to take Netanyahu down, okay? And according to the Times of Israel, Netanyahu was aware of this attack, right? And he was aware of the attack, and he allowed it to happen because that way he can continue with his war.
Which is true, then he's doing power. Which is true.
Yeah, give me a second. Hold on, Lee. Hold on. Let me finish what I was about to say. So now, here's the thing. He wanted to be taken down, right? He said, he allowed it to happen according to Times of Israel. Okay. Now, the reason why he allowed it to happen because otherwise he was gonna people would protest. They wanted him out, and he was gonna lose his chair. Plus, there's 2 corruption charges inside Israel before the 7th of October. And then after that, his rating went up as soon as, just like with every president, the rating goes up, right? People start accepting, even the lefties start accepting it. But guess what? And then as the time went by, the leftists, they start coming back out. They're like, why aren't you talking about the hostage? That's when his rating went to shit. And right now his rating is down the toilet. So what he did, he tried to turn it into a holy war, but it's not. People don't agree with it. If you ask that guy Amos, if you ask that guy Eagle, they're leftists. If you ask the Haaretz publisher, whatever, they're all against the fucking Likud party. So they don't look at it as a holy war. It's just certain people in their Likud party looks at it as a holy war, but it's not a fucking holy war. And some pedophile rabbis, they look at it as holy war, but it's not a holy war. That's the way I'm looking at it. So yeah, go and respond, Ace, and then we'll get Brother Yahya.
It's not a holy war, but the thing is, people realize that he's not even working to get the hostages back, right? They realize that. There's multiple deals to get them back. So many times. I mean, when they did get them back, some of them, their white flags were up, and their own government, Israeli government, killed them. So people, their guys was, this is about getting your people back. They supported every initiative until they started realizing, okay, shit, he doesn't want our people back. He's just pushing his own personal agenda. So of course, I do agree that people turn around and.
No, if he stops, he's gonna get arrested. His wife is gonna get.
We know that. There's already criminal charges in court as we speak. He's in court. It's just been delayed. So he is perpetuating this war. So think about Trump. He had to win. Otherwise he would have been really screwed with those charges, right? This guy, he has to keep this war going in order to stay in power. Because during wartime, there's no transfer of power. So he thought he can get people's love and attention and support back. He did initially, like you said, until people started seeing our children are going to war for this. We're losing our family members, right? They may not talk about how many IDF soldiers are dying, but they are dying. They don't want to go to war for some property grab, because most people are reasonable. There's a few extremists, like you said, in the Likud party or some religious leaders, but that's a small percentage. That's why I'm telling you, it has to break down internally. There has to be a civil war internally. That's the only way for Israel, this freaking government, to be destroyed.
I hear you, but the point I was trying to make is that this is not a holy war. Some people, they take it out of context.
Yeah.
They look at it as it's a holy war because he said certain words out of the scripture, this and that. Bro, that's not a holy war. And that's what I agree on. Brother Yahya, you came up. Did you want to chime in? Lonzo, you could chime in as well. What do you guys think? It's not a holy war, right?
I mean, it's not like necessarily a holy war, but there
religious part, cannot be underestimated, right? The whole trouble with Israel right now, people driving the whole, mayhem like Smotrich, Ben Gvir, all those people you have to understand, right? They have this God complex. They're trying to usher in, the arrival of the Mashiach. So that's not something to underestimate. So those are also like the people who are pretty much holding Netanyahu hostage, pretty much. I'm not saying he's a victim, but he's also playing their game. So those are the people who are actually causing a lot of the trouble in Israel. It's not the atheists or the other Israelis. If you look at the government of Netanyahu, all those people, like they all believe in, rebuilding the temple, bringing the Mashiach, and causing all this trouble to a Palestinian. If you have somebody like Ehud Barak or other people, they're more moderate because they don't believe, they don't subscribe to that mindset. So I think so the religious part is very, very important. But unless it's sorted out, I think all these horrible things is happening. These are like you see the rabbis. They go to the battlefield. They're blessing the soldiers. They're telling them, rape them, kill them, do whatever you want. Yeah, these are mostly, so there's a big religious component to it.
No, Lonzo, those are right part. That's what I'm saying. Those rabbis, the pedophile rabbi, it's all part of the Likud party, okay? But the mission wasn't a holy war. The mission was to go after the terrorists because that's their narrative. According to their, because their sovereign nation got attacked by terrorists. They call Hamas a terrorist, right? It got attacked, and they just went after the terrorists. They wanted to go after the terrorists. That wasn't their main mission. That's what was shown to everybody, including Americans, including freaking, Israelis, and that's the talking point that they use. You see what I'm saying? So it's not.
So the main marketing, let's say, marketing stunt that Israel pulls is of survival. Yeah, Israel needs to survive. We are under threat. So that's the marketing that Israel uses. But what's really happening is the religious war, because if you look at who Netanyahu consults, it's all these rabbis, and their whole aim is to, for greater Israel and the coming of their Messiah and stuff like that. But of course, the marketing at the front, because if you tell people that, we're doing this for a Messiah and it's all this sacrifices and all, they're going to think you're cuckoo, right? So you got to put on a front, and then under the table is your real objective, and that's what it is.
It's impossible. The reason why he's continuing and prolonging this war is because he's going to get arrested. His wife is on arrest. There's corruption charges right now in Israeli court, according to the Times of Israel. The court actually gave him a date, I think for November or December or something. So he's just trying to prolong the war. There's mission to it because Trump is about to take power. Smotrich, the finance minister, he wants to annex the West Bank, right? So all I'm saying is this is not supposed to be a holy war. This is a fucking shitty war going after terrorists.
The whole project is religious. I mean, if you don't believe me, they could have chosen from the beginning. Those Jews, they could have chosen from the beginning to be Palestinians. Palestinian citizenship had been granted to them, and they are actually giving a state which is be secular for all of them. No, they rejected. They revolt against the country that gives them citizenship, on top of it with a country, with a state named after a biblical narrative, Israel. Okay, and that's biblical narratives is actually all from the Bible. There's nothing else.
Brother, that name is from 1940. I'm talking about right now.
That's
Since past year. Yeah, I'm talking about since for the past year.
Since 1948.
Brother, I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about this past year.
I'm talking about right now either, brother. 1948 is not last century, and it's not 2 centuries ago. Since the existence of
He's
Israel.
talking about October the 7th.
Yeah, exactly. Allow me. Yes, allow me to understand. If these Jews have no religious objectives, and they're not playing top here in front of the all-going nation, they should have a Palestinian citizenship by now. They could have been citizens of Palestine. They've been granted Palestinian citizenship. Golda Meir had Palestinian citizenship, not only visa, not only a permanent residency, but also a citizenship. She was a Palestinian. As many early prime ministers, or even the founding father of the state. But they know what they've done? They've done something which is strange. They occupied it. They switched the language. They switched the name of the country, and they topple it, and they name it after biblical state. That's after 1948. They call it Israel. They start speaking Hebrew, which is a language only in the Bible. So yes, it's all to do with religion, brother Amir. It's not about
Brother Yahweh, I'm not talking about
even change the name.
Yahweh, work with me, bro. You don't know exactly what I'm saying. You know, you like to freaking derail the whole fucking topic, right? Look, 1948, that's when this Israel name existed, right? It came from scripture. Let's say this. They went with the language 1948, 55. They were in the process of learning Hebrew language, whatever.
Why?
Right? They picked up. Oh my God, bro! I'm not talking about back then. I'm talking about right now. For the past year, a sovereign nation getting attacked by terrorists. Right? They look at Hamas as terrorists, getting attacked, and they were just defending their nation. And Netanyahu did know about the attack. According to Times of Israel, there's multiple reports in there. He knew about the attack, and guess what? He allowed it to happen. The reason why, because